Hello, welcome to the Courageous Self-Care Podcast. I am your host, Christina Marlette. On this podcast, I love to talk about self-care that goes beyond bubble baths, chocolate, and wine. It's the self-care that is strategic, the self-care that can get uncomfortable. It does not look glamorous. It is not pedicures and manicures and, like I said, bubble baths or wine. And those are all fine. Those are great. And please do go ahead. But we want to make sure that self-care isn't just about indulgence. It's actually about courage and taking steps that are transformative. So here we are. You can go to ChristinaMarlette.com to get a free gift that I've created for you. It is a quiz, and you can learn your self-care style, which is a great place to start. Or if you are well-versed in self-care, it will give you some really unique ideas on what self-care is that you might not have considered. On today's show, we are discussing shifting your relationship with time. Yesterday, we covered why you would want to do that, or if you didn't listen yesterday, on the last episode, the previous episode, why you would want to do that and the benefits of becoming friends with time. Today, we're going to get into the only way that you can experience time, and I've got a strategic self-care strategy. Strategic strategy, that's good. I've got a strategic self-care action step. How about that? That will, you can start to implement right away and will make a huge difference. Are you ready? Great. Let's start in a moment after I let you know that I am taking applications on the podcast for guest experts. You can either tell a story of courage, everyday courage, not monumental courage, unless you have one of those, that's fine too. Or if you have a message or a service or a product that is in alignment with one of the 12 foundations of courageous self-care, go to ChristinaMarlette.com, fill out the application. All of the 12 foundations are listed there, and I look forward to connecting with you. Today, time. Whew, it's a big idea, right? So what I want to share with you today is something that truly shifted my understanding of time. Here's what it is. You can only experience time as an emotion. What? I know, big thought, right? So what does that mean? It means as you go through your day, the only way that you can actually interact with time is by how you're feeling in any given moment. When I first did that, I had no idea that I experienced time mainly with stress, anxiety, and worry. And that is not a great way to be interacting with time, especially, as I talked about on the last episode, if we want to be experiencing time as a friend, a relationship with a friend. A friend would not want to show up to someone who's always treated with worry, anxiety, and stress, right? No. So here is what I recommend. Courageous self-care actually has 4 core values. Well, 5, counting courage. One of them is curiosity. Curiosity can be a wonderful tool. When you get curious about what's happening in your life, you will get one of 2 answers. So you become curious, you start to examine and develop this awareness of what's going on, and then either you'll say, oh, I'm really pleased with how that's working out for me. That's great, I'll keep doing that. Or you'll get the other side, which is, I don't know if that's serving me right now. Perhaps I could do an experiment and see if there is something I can shift. So this is what I recommend. Become curious about your emotions. I noticed initially when I was discovering that I was feeling stressed, anxious, and worried about time, that was happening at the beginning of every day, particularly while getting my kids ready for school. And I wasn't the one who was going to be on time or late. It was my kids. But I felt all this pressure. And so from the time I got up to the time I got them to school, I would feel stressed, anxious, and worried. And for me, it showed up as this tension in my sternum, in my heart center. and this tightness. And it was there for the first few hours of every day. So of course I had this pattern created that's how I started the day. I would wake up feeling worried and stressed, and then that would be the pattern that I followed. And it wouldn't be until I had some time to myself that I allowed myself to take a breath and shift into some new energy. But of course, that's hard to do when you don't have awareness. So mostly I was just stressed, worried, and anxious, most if not all of the time. That is not a healthy way to live. I don't know about you. If you're feeling that way, that doesn't feel good. And every day feels like a race where there's no winner. You always lose. And I was well acquainted with the emotions that went along with failure. And when you can't even get through the day feeling like you've been successful, what kind of a life is that? It's not one that's full and exciting and where you can give the best of yourself. It's about survival. And I see so many women in particular living this or doing this dance with survival. It's not about thriving. How can we shift that? So step number one is to know that time is experienced through your emotions. Step number two is to become curious. There's several ways you can go about doing that. The most straightforward way is to give yourself reminders to check in with how you're feeling. You might want to set an alarm that goes off several times on your phone every day. And just when the alarm goes off, have a little note to yourself. How am I feeling in this moment? Pausing. And when I'm checking in with my emotions, I like to close my eyes and just really notice, how am I feeling right now? Another way to do it, if you don't want to do it on your phone, is to put Post-it notes in various places around your house. And they just say emotional check-in or whatever language you want to use, a check-in, how am I feeling right now? Pause and become curious, some different ideas for you. So you might want to put one in the bathroom on the mirror or when you open the medicine cabinet. You might want to put one next to your bed, perhaps on your computer screen, putting them places where you know you will be throughout the day. And then when you stop seeing them, because you'll get used to them, changing them around and putting them somewhere else. I have Post-it notes all over my house to remind me to ask questions, to give me a lift with strong, powerful words, to remind me what my word of the year is or what my current intention is. Post-it notes are a great friend when you are wanting to be curious, develop awareness, and shift your energy. So we've covered that. Time can only be experienced through your emotions. Become curious about your emotional state. And then when you've gathered some information, I would say, oh, I wanted to give you a third option. A third option on how to become curious about your day-to-day standard emotional patterns is to keep a journal. And it can be something that when you have a down moment, you can, like, let's say you're in line at the bank or waiting for a bus or what else might you be doing? Somewhere where you can pause and just jot down, right now I'm feeling blank. And you don't even have to explain why. Just, oh, I notice I'm feeling this way. Or at the end of the day, you could go through the day. And I actually did this process. It was very useful at the end of the day, thinking back throughout the day and noticing, this is how I felt when that happened. And then this is how I felt at lunchtime. And this is how I felt in the middle of the afternoon. And so on. You get the idea. Doing that for about a week will give you some really great data to work with. And then you will have one of two responses. Oh, I'm really pleased with how I'm feeling throughout the day. I notice that my emotions are positive and I feel above the line. I feel energetic and enthusiastic about life. And I'm not saying that all day, every day is, woohoo, it's party. No, of course we go through these emotional cycles. That's normal. However, if we notice that all the emotions that we are experiencing are things like stress, worry, and anxiety, we might want to make some changes. So when I finished doing my journaling exercise several years ago, this was when I was not well versed in emotions. I thought that the only ones that were okay were the ones on the happy part of the rainbow. And if there was sadness or anger, no one can know. That is what I believed. So this activity actually helped me develop an emotional awareness and learn to be okay expressing different emotions and that they're all valuable and giving us useful information. So let's see. You've got those 3 different ways that you can become curious and track your emotions. Either set an alarm on your phone, post-it notes, or journal. You do have to take some sort of action, and this is where the courage comes in. If you want things to stay the same, then keep doing what you're doing. If you want to take your life to the next level, if you want to feel more powerful, like you are in the heroine's journey of your own story, then it requires some courage. And courage can be, I'm afraid of what's on the other side. But if it is life as this amazing experience, isn't that worth making some changes for? I think so. All right, we're going to move into the next action step in a moment. Before I do that, I would love to share with you that I'm taking applications for sponsors of the Courageous Self-Care podcast. What does it mean to be a sponsor? It means that I get to help you share your message, either through a sponsored interview or by me sharing what your product, service, or business is. It's very simple. It's very affordable. You can go to ChristinaMarlette.com to apply to be a sponsor. And I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, now we're going to move into the last part, the strategic self-care action step, part 2, because you've already done the curiosity step. Now, I'm assuming that you are finding that there is some data that you would like to see some different results around. So that is making a new choice. I have a great suggestion that has worked really, really well for me and my clients. And that is to make, so we're going to make a new choice. The way that you can do that is with affirmations. Some people say affirmations are awesome. They work really well. Some people say affirmations don't work. The people who affirmations don't work for are the ones who tried it for a couple of days and didn't see a difference. What you're doing with affirmations is you're reprogramming your subconscious mind. If you ever learned times tables, you know that it took more than a couple of days to figure out that the answer to 7 times 7 is 49, and it comes like that. All of our beliefs are programmed into our subconscious, which is in our brain, and they are like pathways. Imagine a wheelbarrow going down a pathway every day, several times. That pathway is going to become a really well-developed rut, which can be positive or negative. If we want that wheelbarrow to stay and do the same path over and over, fantastic. It is going to know exactly where to go. However, I was in the rut of stress, worry, and anxiety with my beliefs and relationship with time. I wanted to change that. So I started with some new affirmations. I have said them every day for years. Now it takes about 90 days, is what the mindfulness and mind reprogramming experts tell us, 90 days to change a belief and doing affirmations consistently. So I'm going to share with you my 3 affirmations that I use every day around time. And some of them I've been saying for years, and I just continue to say them to affirm that that is the truth. Some of them I started, well, all of these actually I've been saying for several years. I didn't see results right away. And that is like planting a seed and knowing that the roots are growing underneath. Okay, are you ready for my 3 affirmations? The first one is, I have perfect timing. That has, I would say, been the biggest shift for me in terms of how I feel about time. When I can remind myself, no matter what is happening, that I have perfect timing, I know that things will turn out even better than I could have planned. So for years, I've been saying, I have perfect timing. And because I've been saying it for years, it's true. Actually, I'm only going to share that one with you today. I'm going to share the other two with you tomorrow. And on the next episode, I'll also share with you my story about perfect timing. Well, I have several, because I see that my timing is perfect and we have already reached the end of the show. So I would love to invite you to get your free gift, the self-care quiz at ChristinaMarlette.com. I am obviously your host, Christina Marlette, because I just said that. And we are here on the Courageous Self-Care Podcast every day, Monday through Friday. So be sure to come back, especially on the next episode, to hear those affirmations. We will continue discussing how to shift your relationship with time. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye-bye for now.